Meeting to order, and please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Supervisor Fisher?
Yes.
Clerk Newbeck here. Treasurer Brown?
Here.
Trustee Aliaga?
Here.
Trustee Nalamothu? Here. And Trustee Ritchie?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve the agenda for this special meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda is approved. Any announcements by members of the board? Okay.
I think the only thing I would mention, as the firms are coming in, if they could exit out this door, so we have a constant stream of moving through. That's
Good
the only
idea.
thing I would.
Should we have those doors shut back there?
No, they'll be upstairs, the others.
Oh, okay.
Seeing no members of the public, unless somebody is online, I'll dispense with public comment. So, the agenda for the special meeting begins with item number 1, legal service presentations, and with the firm of Beyer Howlett, the esteemed firm of Beyer Howlett. So we are here, basically, we obviously have your proposal, and we would merely ask you to highlight the things that you think are significant, that you would like us to know in particular. And we have half hour. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for allowing us to present to you today. We're the firm of Beyer Howlett. My name is Peter Goychai. I'm the CFO. To my left is Mary Kucherik. She is the lead attorney for Birmingham, Orchard Lake. She has been, I don't want to butcher this, nominated as Best Lawyers in America 2023, Notable Women in the Law, Class of Women in the Law for 2017, and those are all accolades that are well deserved. To my left is Nick Rokowski. He has 2 decades of experience in exclusively practicing in municipal law. I'm dating myself, but he's a walking encyclopedia of municipal law. And then to my right is Monica Kolecki. She's a new associate at our firm. She handles general municipal practice, prosecutions, and she's also an author.
Yes.
My name is Peter Goychai. I represent the village of Franklin. When I say I, we all do, but I'm the lead contact. We also have other municipalities. I also represent the Huron Shores Regional Water Authority up in Oscoda, and we, this is our team. We even have more bench strength. They all couldn't come tonight, but this is probably who you'd see if you selected us. I can go through our presentation, but I really want to highlight that an attorney-client relationship is based on trust. And attorneys are hired and selected to provide advice and to put above all else the client's needs. And I think for our over 100 years of experience, that's what we've done. We have collaboration. If I don't know something, I go to Mary's office or Nick's office, and we collaborate on how to best approach stuff. I would be your lead contact, and if I wasn't there, or if I'm in the meeting, usually I provide my cell number. I'm hardly even using my landline anymore. So I'm texting and emailing and phone calls with clients, but I would be your lead contact. Again, I want to emphasize that our success is due to the trust that our clients have in us. Birmingham has been a client of ours for over 50 years. We've worked very hard for that client, and we work hard for all our clients, especially our municipal clients. All our clients are treasured clients, but especially the municipal law, that's our backbone. That's been our backbone for over 100 years. The attorney-client relationship is a sacred one. Sometimes we may give uncomfortable opinions, but we try to give the opinion that we believe is right. We try to give you the facts. And for the most part, we provide transparency. If we do issuing a legal opinion, it's usually not couched in attorney-client privilege. That is yours to decide whether you want to announce it publicly or give it publicly. We're just there to provide all that information. Accessibility, again, I would be your lead contact. If I wasn't available in an unlikely event, you could reach out to Monica or Mary or anyone. This is what we do. When Mary was out last week for the city of Birmingham, I received phone calls. Nick received phone calls. We'd run out to the city of Birmingham. We have a collective group here. Our bench strength is pretty deep. We have labor law attorneys. We have environmental attorneys that can assist, and we would be your general municipal attorneys. We handle prosecutions to drafting ordinances to ballot questions, special assessments, budgets, water and sewer, telecommunications. The only item we may not handle, if we're not conflicted out, is bonding issues.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Bonding is very specific and very complicated, and one ought not dabble in bond work. And at times, labor work, depending upon whether or not it's at odds with the, maybe for instance, with the police department, things like that. Can I jump in?
Please.
So as Peter was explaining about the collaborative approach that we have at Buyer Howlett, I think that's something that's very unique to our firm. There's a lot of firms out there, and good firms, and this is not against them. I think they just have a different philosophy. There's a lot of jockeying for position. Who's going to be next partner? Who's going to be a senior associate? And when there is that sort of competitive environment, one tends to keep to themselves. They don't want the next guy to know what they don't know. We're the opposite at Buyer Howlett. As Peter said, the needs of the client comes first, and therefore we're a collaborative team. We all have our strengths, but we all have areas that we aren't perfect in, so we rely on each other. None of us are afraid to go to the other and say, what do you think? I need help with this. Let me bounce this idea off of you. I think that's extremely important because that does serve the client first and foremost. Peter's right, we have accessibility. Our belief for the client has always been you deserve a response either by email or phone call within hours. Definitely same day, but within hours. It was funny, I had a client call today. As Peter said, we represent Orchard Lake, and the council president called and he said, I don't often need you immediately, but I need you right now, and thanks for picking up the phone. I was like, you can call me at 2 o'clock in the morning. We've all taken those calls. Also too, with prosecution, we do have a lot of bench strength with that. I was the prosecutor for Birmingham for 25 years. Nick was prosecuting for 20-something years, and Monica as well. So that's very helpful. Oftentimes, firms shine in one area of municipal work, but not necessarily prosecutions. We bring all of that to the table for you. So I guess the bottom line and what I'm trying to convey is you get Peter as your one contact. I think it's important to have consistency that this is the guy we go to. But you don't just have that one contact. All of us would be as equally committed to serving you as the lead. We see ourselves as one. So thanks, Pete. I just wanted to
Well, thank you.
convey that.
It's a great addition.
You know, we've worked together. Most of us have worked together for 20-something
Yeah.
years. We're like family. So that makes, I think, a good work environment, and I think that makes a productive work environment when you rely on each other like family.
And I think that, to expand on that, if that's okay with
Please.
you, that that's an important philosophy, I think. Well, you're going to interview plenty of qualified firms. There's no doubt about it. It's generally the same firms that show up for these interviews. But what sets us apart? What makes us different or unique to your specific needs? Our responsiveness, our ability and willingness to be part of your family, part of your team, in the fact that we want you to feel like we're pretty much in-house counsel for you. That's what we mean by responsiveness. That's what we mean by being available 24/7, and that's literal. Everybody will have everybody's cell phone. Any issues come up, we're available 24/7. And again, Mary said, we take calls. I took a call not less than a week ago from a police officer in the middle of the night needing some information on a legal issue from a criminal perspective. So I think that's important to understand that as a client of ours, you're treated as number one, that your response time will be extremely fast, if not on the first call right away. We want you to have the feeling that we're basically in-house counsel. And to expand on what Peter initially said about transparency, I've preached that from the last 22 years. I've practiced exclusively municipal law. I think it's very important for that to be a major theme of any municipality in Michigan, especially as a public body as you sitting up there. It's important to have that public input to make those important decisions. You've got a lot of important decisions coming up. You've got a lot of important projects to look at, such as reinvigorating your DDA and looking at your corridor. Very intimately involved with TIF capture types of situations. So any of those types of situations, I'm using that as a specific example, any one of us can step in at a moment's notice and start wherever your previous council left off with regard to picking up those types of projects, because we've done so many of them for so many municipalities over the years. So it's pretty much second nature for us. So if that's a concern of the board, rest assured, there isn't really an issue we haven't seen before and tackled head on for our municipal clients that we represent. So, thanks.
And if we don't have the answer right away, you give us a few hours, give us a day, we would do the research and try to come up with the best possible solution for you. Again, we try to put clients' needs above everything else. And sometimes the opinion might not be what you're looking for, but we're trying our best to give you the best possible advice.
Yeah, and our fiduciary duty is to the township and this board and nobody else. And our job is to make sure you have the proper legal tools at your ability to accomplish whatever goals you have set for yourselves, to accomplish that in the best legal means possible. And so our goal is to give you the most accurate and correct legal advice at every point in time. And again, as Peter alluded to, it might not necessarily be what you want to hear, but it's what the law says and what we need to follow. And so that's very important, and that's kind of a core philosophy of ours, that it's important that we make sure you have those legal tools at your ability, at your disposal to accomplish your goals. And that's our primary focus, I think.
A practical point, as you heard, we do represent a number of municipalities, Village of Lake Orion, I don't think we mentioned that, Village of Lake Orion, Village of Franklin, Orchard Lake, City of Orchard Lake Village, yes, I confuse those all the time, and then the City of Birmingham, which is a pretty big, busy client. All of those meetings are on Mondays, so we know that your meetings are on Tuesdays, so that's an important practical housekeeping part, that we won't have a conflict on Tuesday evenings. Peter can't wait to be here on Tuesday evenings.
I live 10 minutes away, less than
Yes.
4 miles away.
Which is very nice.
My kids play soccer in Independence Township, drop them off. I love the area. I love downtown Clarkston. I love being around here. I live at Baldwin and Waldwin. I can swing by, have access to me. And Monica would be assisting with prosecution. I don't know if you have anything to add. I didn't want to monopolize this conversation. I'm glad my colleagues stepped in, because I'm sure you guys will get bored with me yapping, but it's nice that they stepped in.
Yeah, that's correct. I have experience prosecuting traffic matters, misdemeanors, and civil infractions. I also do a lot of legal research in the office, so anytime Mary needs any help with any of the cities, she gives me the question and I provide an answer. And like they said, whether that answer is what the city wants or does not want, we still provide the answer based on the research that we provide.
And just so that, I'd like for all of you to get to know us as people, because I agree with Peter, it's about trust, and you have to know us and like working with us. Peter alluded that you're an author, so please brag for a second.
That is correct. I published a book while I was in law school, actually. A little bit of background about myself. I migrated from Albania when I was 3 months old, so my parents brought me here. And I heard a lot of stories about my parents' upbringing living here in the States. And hearing those stories was very moving for me, because when you're in America, you only get one perspective. And, you have capitalism and you don't think about countries that, for example, face communism like Albania did. And my father specifically had a very hard time in Albania because he is someone who loves America. And if you love America, you love to voice your opinion and you like the capitalist society. And he struggled there and was basically persecuted along with his family members and ancestors. So hearing those stories really moved me, and I wanted to write a book so it's never forgotten. The main reason why the book was written was so my family line could continue to hear the story. But after I published it, many people purchased the book and loved the story. It's a sad story, so it's not a story that's something you can pick up and just say, wow, it's a fantastic story. It's more of heart-wrenching. But yeah, I did that while I was in law school. Something I'm proud of, and obviously that you guys are proud of too.
We're very proud of Monica. I think it's important for firms to invest in young attorneys and teach them and involve them. I think we have that responsibility in our profession to bring up the people behind us. So you can see we're very proud of Monica for a lot of good reasons. We're thrilled to have her. And she is so good at research. She is like this. I'm old, so I'm not as good at research, but boy, she's a gem for us, and we're very pleased and proud to have her. That is a skill she will bring to you. So her research skills are phenomenal.
Thank you, Barry.
I just want to add, we do handle civil litigation, obviously prosecutions, as we mentioned, and we've been in closed-door sessions where we have discussions with the client, and we try to give all the facts and provide the board and the trustees with as much information as possible to make informed decisions. 98% of cases get settled, as Mr. Fisher is aware. So a lot of times we do settle, but as long as you guys have all the information and legal issues and topics, we're there to provide guidance as much as possible.
Our cases are currently being litigated, obviously, in Oakland County Circuit Court, Wayne County Circuit Court. We have a federal case pending right now on a ADA case that, in our opinion, should have been dismissed, but we're going to keep cracking at it. So we do have a lot of civil litigation experience, so that if, unfortunately, you are faced with a case, we are versed in all of the courts. Peter does a lot of the litigation, and we do a lot of the support. After being a prosecutor for 20-something years, I was a little burnt out of litigation, but I still like to get up and give a good oral argument every now and then. So we do bring that strength to you as well.
And I think it's important to recognize that our goal is to keep you out of litigation, practice preventative medicine. Litigation doesn't really benefit anybody, maybe the attorneys who are getting paid to litigate for the side. So really the goal is to give you the information to keep you out of litigation. But don't mistake that for the fact that if litigation does occur, we do defend or prosecute that litigation vigorously on behalf of our municipal clients. So it's very important, and we have the expertise to do so, but I think it's a bigger picture to keep you out of that, and that's the important thing, and that's always in the back of my mind. I know the rest of the firm's mind that we got to be careful and advise you accordingly to pursue any avenues or goals that you may have without the possibility or closing any doors that might open litigation towards the township. So that's important.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. It was just about a week ago, I tried to rein my client in and said, let's try to resolve it before litigation. Litigation is long, it's costly, it's a year and a half with unpredictable outcomes. So I asked them, let's try to resolve it short of litigation. And we're on that track. So yes, absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up, Nick. With that being said, I see it's 5:19. We'd like to open up the door for questions. If we can assist, please let us know.
I have one quick question. You mentioned that you work collaboratively in the office, the internal collaboration, which obviously is helpful. But the question I have is, when you do billing, and you've talked about it, is it a double bill then?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Never.
And at times, we will reflect. So let me give you a better for instance. So in Birmingham, we have a retainer situation, but litigation is separately. And as a lead attorney, I always want to be kept apprised. So we'll have conferences, and maybe that's part of retainer, but that doesn't cost the client anymore. The other cities are straight hourly, and never. We either agree to split it, or we'll put in a no charge. Sometimes we show it on the bill so that you're aware of what's happening, but we'll do a no charge. We never double bill. I find that very unethical. I would say that that's another thing I'm very proud of by our Howlett. We really believe strongly in ethics. You know, I really believe, I think we all believe, the law is not about winning at all costs. It's about being fair, just, equitable, and ethical. And that would be absolutely wrong. And as one of the equity partners, Mr. Fisher, I would never allow that. Peter wouldn't.
That's correct.
And Mike Gibbons, our other partner. The three of us are the managing partners. Never.
Thank you.
And we also appreciate the fact that any municipality has to look to the budget and the bottom line and what they pay their contract services for. And I think we're proud of the fact that we've been able to provide very economical legal services and solutions to our municipal clients over the year. I think it's been very competitively offered to our clients. So that is always in the back of our minds, that we want to make sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck, so to speak, but not that it's not just about making the money. It's about creating that relationship, that trust, at a fair and reasonable rate that reflects the work involved in the process.
You know what's fun about municipal law is that and I'm sure this is why all of you volunteer your time as trustees. You are serving people at the basic level of their first needs. If people don't have water, sewer, electricity, a happy neighborhood, you can't possibly move on to the next level of your life. So municipal law is fun because you are truly serving the community at the most basic core. That's why I love municipal law. If you're not happy here, you can't move on. You can't go to the next step. You can't further education. You can't further yourself as a human. So municipal law is fun because we help people on the most basic level. And that's, I think, super important, which is why it is value-based billing. Municipalities are not rich. We are never going to be rich lawyers as municipal lawyers. That's not why we do it. We have to enjoy what we do, and that's, I think, why we like it. I think that's why Buyer Howlett has been successful in maintaining relationships with clients for 50 and 60 years.
Yeah, let me add on to that. We also are retained by insurance companies, and they scrutinize bills, and there's certainly no overlapping of bills. If somebody has expertise more than I do, or vice versa, then we hand it off, or we say, can you run with it? We have no problem doing that. Just within the last 2 weeks, I proposed to one of my corporate clients that they may go on retainer because they're using me a lot. On the flip side of it, we have a local government that pays us on retainer, and I just proposed to them, maybe you should go to hourly, and that'll be discussed in November. But this will be a constant discussion, and if it's within both sides' interest, we can always change it to retainer as long as we have a little bit of experience on what we need, and there's maybe a little bit of a learning curve, but this is constant development and discussions we've had with clients.
Ron?
I just had one question, I guess, just to be clear, since there's 4 areas that we're looking to cover tonight. You guys talked about the general, municipal, and the prosecutorial sections. Are you guys bidding on the labor or tax tribunal at all?
Yes, I handle tax tribunal matters, and Monica is taking over a good portion of it for me. We're pretty busy, thankfully. And as far as labor and employment, I can handle rudimentary questions, but our partner, Michael Gibbons, is a little bit, quite a bit more experienced in labor law.
Michael Gibbons represents a number of large corporations. He does a labor for both sides, both from the corporate side and from the employment side. We should also mention that we represent a number of school districts, including Dearborn Public Schools. And so Michael does a lot of their labor work through Dearborn Public Schools, as well as this general school law as well.
So our proposal includes every 4 aspects of what you're looking for, and we have specialized attorneys to handle each of those 4 aspects.
Very good. I just want to
Excuse
make
me,
sure that
except
was
for
covered because you
pension-
already talked about
Yes.
that.
I should say, aside from pension work, we did have a gentleman in our office that was handling our pension work. He is retired, and again, pensions are like bond work. I don't believe we should dabble in that. So pensions would be something else that we would have to assist in getting other counsel. I'm in the process right now, in fact, of finding someone else for our other customers and finding a good pension person that we would work collaboratively with. So we wouldn't expect you to go find that person on your own. We would suggest the person, and it would be someone that we would be starting to work with for our other clients.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Paul?
How many attorneys do you have in the firm?
I always forget that, so.
13?
Yeah, something like that.
We have some that are part-time, we have some that are of council, we have some that are semi-retired that come in on various occasions, but 13, 12,
I
13.
think 12 or 13.
We offer an environment for everybody. So we have parents who need a part-time position because they want to be full-time parents, part-time lawyers. We have attorneys who are phasing out, but still, like our environmental expert, Jeffrey Haynes, he just loves the law and never wants to stop, and we don't want him to stop. We need him. So our firm offers opportunities for whatever everyone needs. You know, we're humans first, and husbands and wives and sons and daughters and parents, and we're those people first. So we have to offer what people need in our firm. So that's why we forget how many we have. 13 is the answer.
Jeffrey's going to permanent choir work.
Yes.
Yes.
It's very good.
Yes. He's something, isn't he? We call him the professor. Yeah. So Jeffrey Haynes teaches, for the rest of you, he taught at U of M Law, and he just loves to pick up anything anybody writes and goes to town with a red pen. The professor.
No other questions? Thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciated your presentation.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's nice to have
Just
met
want to
all
give
of
them
you.
an idea of the rest of the process, what they might anticipate, I guess.
I'm sorry.
The rest of the process is going to be, we have actually a committee that will meet tomorrow and make recommendations. We'll probably come back at our meeting on November 1 and make a recommendation of a firm, but it would be subject to negotiating a final agreement that would then undoubtedly be returned on November 15.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Well, thank you for
I
your time.
appreciate it. We're
Thank you so
available to
much.
discuss. Phone, email.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully it won't be too rainy when you all leave.
Right.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
please, thank you.
Unless you have something upstairs that you left up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Have a good night, thanks.
Bye. Okay.
That was pretty good timing. Does the next group come down? Or you want me
Yep,
to
I
go
let
get
her
'em?
know that we're ready for the next.
You did.
Okay, I'm marking down as late, so.
Yeah, 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
I always thought these guys were a larger firm. Are they a larger firm?
They have been. They've been small to large.
I thought they were 20 to 30 at one point or something. I guess that happens.
They may have been up to 20, yeah. They went into, they combined with a big litigation group, and then they split up again.
Yeah, I did some stuff. Something. Geez.
Hello? Hi there. Welcome.
Good evening.
Hello?
Good evening. Hey.
Can I introduce myself?
Sure.
Sarah.
Hi, Carrie.
Nice to meet you.
Sarah, I'm just.
Nice to meet you.
Jerry Fisher.
Nice to meet you, Jerry.
Hi, Carrie. Carrie's
Hi, Ann.
Nice to
I'm
meet you.
Jacob.
Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good evening, Carrie.
Hi, Aunt Sarah.
Close
Hi, Aunt Sarah.
Ron.
Hi, Aunt Sarah. Nice to meet you.
appreciate you coming in this evening. And so we all have your proposal, and we've looked at it, and we'd like you to hit any highlights that you think are important, and any behind-the-scenes things that are significant, and how you can represent the township in the best possible way.
Certainly. Well, okay, so we did do a PowerPoint presentation.
And that is loaded if somebody wants to stand at the podium, and you can go through it if you want, or
I can, but do you guys
Whatever
want to
you
sit through a
prefer.
PowerPoint presentation, or?
whatever you prefer.
Okay, all right. So I'll hand you, we have sort of a one-pager that highlights it as well. Would you like to just take one?
Just like the school days.
Just like the school days, right? So,
So it should be right,
It says FS Independent,
I believe, is it in
the
Adobe?
PDF on the right there.
is it the PDF?
I think it's down, I think it's
Right here,
below.
isn't it?
No, it's not,
Oh,
Ron.
it's not.
I think it's Adobe, correct?
It would have been PowerPoint. It's all right, you know what, I'm just gonna,
I tried the Adobe, I think that's it.
I think it's the Adobe.
Yeah, sometimes
This
it's
The one that's
Yep,
open.
down at the bottom, at the very bottom. Yep,
Here?
try the next, yep, try that one.
oh,
There
look
you
at
go.
that. How do I, okay, so it got converted to PDF, okay. So I'll just go through it real quickly in this manner. So my name is Sarah. I am one of the senior attorneys at Foster Swift. I'm with Ann tonight. This is Ann Searing. She is the president of our firm and a treasured member of our municipal team. She's been with the firm for how many years now, Ann?
26.
26 years. I've been with the firm on and off since 2004. So if someone can do that math, that's how long I've been. What we pride ourselves on mostly when it comes to our municipal practice is our dedication to our clients. So we take into account your goals and priorities as you articulate them to us, working with you within your budget, how your approval process moves forward when it comes to approving your budgets and approving the services that you'd like us to provide for you, and how you'd like to communicate with us. And of course, we do this all within the boundaries of the law. If we didn't, we would be very bad lawyers. And I think this is probably one of the biggest tenets of our practice is the can versus should. So we are your attorneys, we're not your policymakers, and we don't want to be your policymakers. Our job is to advise you what you can do under the law, and it's your job to decide whether you want to do that or don't want to do that, or whether you take our advice or don't take our advice. But we won't advise you what course of action you should take, but what courses of action you can or cannot take. We have a vast amount of experience across our municipal practice. We have 11 municipal attorneys in our practice group, and across that area of practice, we have general counsel, we have litigation, municipal prosecutions, we have environmental lawyers, we have lawyers that specialize in condemnation. I am one of those lawyers that specialize in condemnation. We have lawyers that specialize in elections, special assessment districts, annexation, you name it, we have somebody in our firm that can help you with that. And if it falls, sometimes you confront issues that fall outside the realm of municipal law, and we're a full-service law firm, so we have attorneys in other areas as well that we can tap for their expertise, because we all can't be experts in every single area, as I'm sure you guys all know that. And we also have a legal librarian who is extremely resourceful. So in terms of like looking up historical documents that we as lawyers don't know how to find, she knows how to find what we need. As your primary team here, I would be your township attorney. Ann Searing, who is with us today, she specializes in open meetings, FOIA, elections. Michael Bloom of our Southfield office, he does primarily labor law services. Laura Genovich in our Grand Rapids office, she does tax tribunal and election law. Scott Hogan, public finance and bond work. Mr. Homier, Michael Homier, our practice group leader, he does tax tribunal, and Brian Renault practices condemnation with me as well. And here's pictures of all of us in case you wanted to see what we all look like. And we are ready when you need us. So essentially what that means is for every one of us, we have a backup. So if there's ever a time where you have a crisis or something that comes up, we have a depth of bench here that allows us to rely on somebody to get your question answered. If, for instance, I'm in court and can't respond, but I see it on my email, I can forward it to someone. We're always ready to respond in an urgent or emergent situation, which, as you know, oftentimes comes up for a township. So we're focused on your goals when it comes to your day-to-day operations, whether you need assistance right off the bat or whether it's something you need in the future. We try to be proactive and work with you as it relates to the projects that you see coming down the pipe or issues that you see coming down the pipe so that we can be proactive in our approach to serving you. So for instance, I have a community now that is facing a ballot initiative for a adult retail marijuana stores. And part of our proactive approach is to take a look at what that initiated ordinance would allow and then contemplating other ordinances that need to be put into place before that initiated ordinance would take effect to ensure a smooth transition if it does pass. And so there are no hiccups and no gaps, and the city is not in a position where they have an emergency after the ballot initiative passes, if it passes. So that's just an example of how we try to be proactive for you and to see the issues that might face you and address them before they become bigger issues. In the same vein, I want to focus on this right-sized response here as well. We are never going to do something that is going to be more costly to you or that is going to put the township in a position to do something that they're not ready for. So our responses are tailored to what you're looking for, what you're asking for us to do, and that will allow you to focus on the issue at hand without overdoing it or overthinking it, so to speak. Our goal and our policy is to respond with you within 4 business hours, but I can tell you that that's rarely the case, that it's even 4 hours. We all have our cell phones, as you know, in this day and age. Typically a response, at least for me, when a client calls me, my response is either within like 5 minutes. If I'm in a court hearing and I see it on my phone, as soon as I can step away from the bench, I send a text message, or I will send an email that says, I can give you a call in 20 minutes. Is it something that's more urgent than that? So it's typically within like 30 minutes, I would say, is my approach in trying to respond to somebody. It's a rare occasion where I can't do that. I'm never in front of a court or addressing a tribunal for more than 30 minutes, so I can always step away, check my phone, and answer a call, or at least provide a response that says, we'll be able to get back with you at a certain time. If you need it more urgently, let me know, and Ann Searink will give you a call, or whoever else may be available. We also routinely provide training for our clients at no charge. We send out a municipal newsletter quite frequently, at least every quarter, that includes updates in the law. If there's a new seminal case that comes out or something that is impacting townships legislation and we learn about it, we send out e-blasts as well the day that we learn about it or the next day, so you're kept up to date on what is happening in the law as it pertains to townships. We also host webinars and lunch and learns, and so we would offer that to you and say, hey, we have an attorney who's hosting a FOIA seminar. Let us know if you want to join on the Zoom call or whatever it may be. We also would provide specific training for you as well if you have a particular issue, so to speak, as it relates to your policies, or you see a continuing issue that's coming up, for instance, maybe with FOIA or something like that, and you have determined that your staff needs an update in the law, then we'll come out and do that for you as well, or your staff. because of the depth of the experience that we have at Foster Swift, oftentimes a response from our firm would take less, I think, than from some other firms. For instance, if there's an issue that comes up that I've never addressed, and believe it or not, there are times that things come up that I don't know the answer to. And so I have a whole team behind me that has likely addressed that very issue, has probably already written a memo on that issue, has probably written a memo very similar to that issue that just needs to be tweaked in one area of the law. And so we have that library, we have that depth of experience to address it quickly and efficiently for you, as opposed to recreating the wheel every single time. And that is that. And I'll leave you with this one thought. And I struggled with whether or not to say this because it's sort of quirky, but when it comes to judging the character of a firm or judging who you are going to be working with, I feel like I can describe our firm as more of like a partnership, sort of friendship with our clients. And this is the funny part that I wasn't sure I was going to say or not, but how many of you have seen Jerry Maguire, the movie Jerry Maguire? Probably everybody, right? And in that whole movie is about his relationship with his one client, right? Now we have more than one client, but every single one of our clients, we have that, I feel like we have that kind of relationship with every single one of our clients. And if you called our references, maybe you have, maybe someone on your committee has already done that, I'm sure they would say the same thing, that Foster Swift treats us like we are their child, or not their child as in like we're going to tell you what to do, but as in like we care for you in a way that looks out for your best interests, or your best friend, someone that's going to respond to your needs when you need them and give you the advice that you need when you need it in a way that builds that kind of rapport. So I had one client tell me that wow, at that meeting I really saw Mama Bear come out for the city because they were about to make a very costly sort of decision as it relates to a potential litigation. And so I got a little bit Mama Bear-ish on behalf of the city to try to explain our legal opinion in those terms. And so I was described as being a Mama Bear. And I think that that is sort of what we are. Like, we're here looking out for you. And if you don't choose a firm based on anything else, I think that is one quality that you should look for. So I don't know, Anne, do you have anything to add to all of that?
No, I think you covered a lot. We also have, it's hard to kind of judge from all the faces that you saw up there, is that a lot of us have spent our whole career here or a long time at Foster Swift, so we work with each other very well. We have long-term clients that we've served for years, through different election cycles because they come to trust our advice. So we do have a very team approach, as Sarah mentioned, that helps the client because we talk all the time. So I know what's going on with clients she works with more closely and vice versa, so that if I'm not there, another person can easily step in, so you are not waiting by the phone or concerned about something, because we know how, as Sarah mentioned, how quickly things happen in township law.
Anybody have a question? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
Okay.
No, I wanted to keep that part short because you have a lot of people to listen to tonight.
Fair enough.
So.
Fair enough.
I do have a
Yes.
question just for our notes.
Carrie.
I know you have some of the townships, other townships or municipalities that you represent in your bid, but could you give us some examples of who those people are?
Certainly. So Heartland Township is a township client. Canton Township is another township client. I work closely with Canton and all of their zoning and planning initiatives. And
The city of Brighton. I don't know if you asked just about townships.
yeah. So what other townships? Those are I primarily work with Canton Township, City of Brighton, Norvell Township out near Jackson.
And we have a number of townships,
Sandy
like,
Township.
Scioto Township is another one we do a lot of work for, and then smaller townships that might have a particular issue. For example, Ellington Township there was kind of hired us for a specialized issue, but now we're doing their FOIA work for them, and so they come to trust us. You know, they might pick us because we have an expertise. Wind and solar happens to be a reason that a lot of smaller townships who don't have maybe even a large budget will hire us to do the work, and then we end up doing a lot more for them because they know and trust us.
I'm good, thank you.
Anybody else have a question? So Sarah, what office are you in?
I'm in Southfield.
So you're in Southfield, okay.
Yep.
Okay, and you're
Grand Rapids.
Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for coming over for everything.
I think we worked together years ago. I think you worked on a case with Bill Fahey
Right,
with Bloomfield Township
Right.
and City of Pontiac. Yeah,
Right.
I was just started with Bill back
Ah.
then, but I remember very fondly working with you back then.
great. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing the PowerPoint.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us. We appreciate it very much.
And you can just go out here. This is the street level right,
Oh, okay.
right here, unless you've left something upstairs.
Nope, we're right there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the rest of the process will be, we have a committee meeting tomorrow morning, and then we, at our meeting on November 1, we'll probably make a decision that would be subject to negotiating an agreement, and then on November 15, we'll make a final decision.
We really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thank you, have a
Good
good
luck in your
evening.
process.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe, sorry.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me.
Next doesn't start till 6, so I'm not sure if they're here or not, because we did give each firm a half hour, so
Right.
we want to recess for a little bit, I'm not sure.
Do you want these carried?
You want to check and see if they want to go? I mean, you know,
I-
attorneys are always early.
Right.
Yeah, thanks. I text Courtney, so she
That
knows
was what I said.
we're ready when they are.
Do you want to recess?
She hasn't said anything. Oh, she's here, so they must be
There you
here.
go.
There we are.
Hey,
Okay.
I know this guy.
Hello, hello.
Good evening.
Hello.
Welcome.
Good evening. How you doing, Paul?
Hi.
Make yourselves comfortable. You're going to be here for a long time?
Yes, oh yeah, I know. I'm one of those days.
We obviously have your proposal, and we appreciate you submitting it. And so we'd really like to hear thoughts on your part on what, maybe some things that are not in the proposal, or the things you want to highlight in the proposal, and tell us about your firm.
Sure. So I'm John Clark, senior partner with G. Markle Mullins. Been with the firm since 1995. Believe it or not, can't believe it's been that long. I chair our municipal group, and I do pretty much all municipal, but my focus is labor and employment. That's really where I spend a lot of my efforts. I'm going to let my team introduce themselves, and then I'll jump back in and give you some more background on the firm, and then explain why I think we should be retained for the position. So go ahead, Carrie.
Oh, thanks. Hi, my name's Carrie Miller, and I've been with GMH since 2018. Before that, I was with the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office since 2006. And before that, I clerked for a circuit court judge for 2 years. So my background is mostly prosecutions, and I do prosecutions for the firm. Right now, I prosecute in Pontiac and in the city of Wayne, and occasionally in the city of Redford. So criminal, jury trials, bench trials, motions, and prosecution is really my specialty. I also work with the MIDC, and I run the Michigan Indigent Defense appointment system for the courts of Ferndale, Oak Park, and Farmington Hills. And so that's appointing counsel to represent indigent clients in a grant funded. So I also have a lot of experience in that as well.
And my name's Mike Bosnick. I've been practicing about 25 or so years. I've been with GMH since 2010. My areas of practice are, I do district court prosecution work. In addition to that, I do attend meetings and prepare our communities for their meetings.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tony Chubb. I'm a partner with Gianmarco Mullins and Horton in the municipal group as well. I practiced law going close to 15 years now. I've been with the firm over 5 years. Prior to that, I was at the City of Flint, where I started as the Deputy Chief Legal Officer. I was the Director of Human Resources and subsequently the Chief Legal Officer. Prior to that, I was in-house at the Smart Transit Authority. And so throughout over a decade, I've only worked in-house for and almost exclusively for municipal clients. On a day-to-day basis, I act as general counsel for Royal Oak Township and Redford Township, as well as the City of East Lansing, the City of Pontiac, and Genesee 911 Consortium.
And Saline.
And the City of Saline, that's correct, and the City of Wayne. So we have a really diverse group of municipal clients that, working with them on a daily basis, we see the full gamut of the things you might run into, for sure.
So, really 4 reasons why I think we're the right people for the job. By the way, I used to do work for Oakland Township. That's why I know Paul and Carrie and others, back a few years ago during Supervisor Kittle's reign. So first of all is our experience. Just here alone, the experience here alone is, I think, unmatched. We have 4 other members of our municipal group who are at different meetings and different obligations. Mondays and Tuesdays are usually kind of the bad nights where we have to be at meetings. We also have a full-service real estate firm, tax firm, commercial business firm, environmental. So it's a one-stop shop. We don't have to farm things out. We don't have to bring in special counsel. We can handle the general municipal, the labor, prosecutions, tax tribunal, real estate issues, whatever comes up. We can handle all those for our municipal clients. So experience is number 1. Number 2 is customer service. I think our service is unmatched. In fact, I just changed my business cards to put my cell phone number as the only phone number on there because that's the best way to get a hold of me. So we pride ourselves on responsiveness. It may not be the answer right away. It's, hey, I got your email. We'll take a look at it. I'll be in touch. If you need it sooner, let me know. So there's acknowledgement. There's back and forth. We're 24 hours accessible. And our business has really grown. East Lansing and Saline are 2 of the clients that we acquired just in the last 6 months. In addition to clients like City Taylor, Redford, that I've had for almost 20 years. And in City Taylor, I'm on my 5th mayor. So that kind of staying power, obviously they value the service we provide, beyond politics. Number 3 is price. I quoted this at $125 an hour. That's for all services. All services. $125 an hour. That's for all services. Now you say, all right, Clark, you're coming in here to undercut everybody. Not true. I have 3 other municipal clients where we charge the same amount. So that is one of the rates. It's obviously my lowest, but because, again, of our experience, we're able to provide the service. We don't have to go spend hours and hours researching a lot of the stuff we've been dealing with myself almost 28 years in the business. And number 4, and I think it's important, is we're actually enjoyable to work with. I mean, a lot of lawyers can be stiff shirts. I think we actually bring a little personality to the table. In terms of conversations, we like to get to know our clients, have a personal relationship with them if appropriate or proper. So it really goes beyond the 4 corners of looking at a document or showing up to a meeting. So experience, service, pricing competitive, and enjoyable to work with. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Who'd be the point of contact? Who'd be the main one?
Me.
All right, John.
Yeah. And the nice thing is that it comes in for me, and then I can appropriate the appropriate horsepower depending on the circumstance. The other thing is I don't typically bill for those initial contacts. In fact, I never do. You give me a call and say, hey, Clark, we got a contract. And I'm like, this appears to be a Mike or Tony or Kira's wheelhouse. We're not going to double bill for, I'm not going to look at the contract and then give it to Tony and then he's going to bill you as well. We provide monthly detailed billing, down to a 0.2. We bill on a monthly basis, and we can break it out as many dot extensions as you need. Some clients like to have everything separated for budget purposes or whatever it might be. So we don't send in a bill, services for July, $5,000. It doesn't work that way. So provide detailed billing, and also we're willing to always discuss retainers. Some of our municipal clients on the prosecution side, we have retainers. We have monthly retainers, which we're happy to discuss depending on the volume. And obviously, it's got to work for both sides. It's got to be a good number, but we're willing to do that, and that works out. So, I'm sorry, somebody else had a hand up. My apologies.
I did. So the four of you would be the primary dedicated to the township, and then how many are totally in the firm?
I think we've got 60 in the firm. Steve Hitchcock, who's not here, who does a lot of our, he's been doing this for 40 years. He does general municipal, real estate, tax tribunal work. But he's actually at another meeting tonight.
Okay.
And then we have a whole workers' comp division. I mean, like I said, depending on the circumstance, depending on the need, the township would have full access to whatever services are required at that $125 rate.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Well, thank you so much for coming out and making a presentation. We are going to have a committee that'll meet tomorrow and discuss all of this and make a recommendation. We'll be taking it up at our meeting of November 1, which is next Wednesday. And then at that point, we'd make a recommendation subject to negotiating an agreement to be finalized at the board on November 15.
Okay. And, we're I think pretty much everything is up for bid, so we're not an all or nothing situation. If you think the prosecutors here are worthy of your attention, then we accept that. The labor, I mean, whatever it would be, we would be happy to entertain even the smallest sliver. I really enjoyed doing work here in the past, and we appreciate another opportunity.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming in.
Have a good evening.
Nice night.
You too. You can use this door over here if you like.
Secret side door.
Oh, great. Thank you. Bye.
Side door out, right.
Thanks. Take care. Have a good night.
Thank you,
Bye.
you too.
So I think now would be a good time to recess. I think our next is not here yet, so. Would like to call a recess.
Yeah, let's call. We are in recess at, say, 6 o'clock.
So it looks like we have an attorney who's called into the meeting. Yeah, she's with,
Couldn't see any name, I can't help
she's
it.
with,
Rosati?
Schultz Jobbik, yeah.
Oh, really? Did he send a note or anything?
It is not here. Oh, where'd that
I'll
go?
text something here.
How do you know?
You're on screen.
Okay, we're back out of recess at 6:10. Good evening, Peter.
Good evening.
Mr. Peter. So we've got your proposal, obviously, and we know you, but we're happy that you're here. And so give us any thoughts that would be helpful for us.
All right. Would you like me to sit here or go up to the lectern?
Oh, just stay right there.
All right. First of all, thank you. I've been privileged to be the code enforcement officer and prosecutor for this township since 2005. And I've come before the board on 2 prior occasions, and you've entrusted in me that position. And this is my priority in terms of the practice of law. And I'm also privileged because, as Mr. Fisher is well aware, been in this community for over 30 years. And this is my business community, and I feel a part of this community, and it's a privilege to be able to work within your own community. I also have a responsibility to you folks, over and beyond the trust that you placed in me to handle prosecution matters. And it goes beyond any agreement that we've signed. I'm in a somewhat unique position in that what I do for you folks is a little different than the other attorneys that you have. With my understanding, they primarily work with you, make recommendations, prepare documents for you. But the ultimate decision on what happens is with you. And what you've entrusted in me is decision making. Once you appoint me to be your township attorney, I go out and I do as you suggest and request. I handle the code enforcement and prosecution. I don't report back to you directly. I don't ask for your approval. You entrust in me decision making, and I take that very seriously. And I also take into account that because of the location, having been in the community for 30 plus years, is that this location provides me easy access to everything that I need to perform my duty. I'm right next door, as you're aware, to the Sheriff's Department, the Fire Department. My decision in the wintertime is whether I walk up the hill to the district court or whether I drive up the hill. That's the major decision of the day. And I'm 5 to 7 minutes away from here. And I'm at literally a phone call away from coming over and talking to anyone upon request. And that allows me also, when I'm prosecuting matters, to go out into the township and meet with people who are victims. I have easy access. I'm able to go to store owners who've had their items stolen from them, and citations have been issued, and they're victims of crime. I can follow up on preparation for cases by asking, do you have a video? Do you have lost damages that you would like reimbursement for? And they're surprised as they can be, is that you can get reimbursement for these damages we have? And I go, yes, I can. And yes, I do. And I said, that's because the board has entrusted, not me, but this position to do something like that. They're surprised, they're pleased, and they're going, my tax dollars at work. They're getting help they didn't know they'd receive. An example would be recently for the Clarkston schools, we got restitution of $4,313 for a young man who decided to drive his car through the fence. So I have the opportunity to speak to people one-on-one and to do that. That is something that I cherish and I feel responsible for. And it is a reflection upon you. And I take that, as I said, very seriously. You know, in the proposal that you sent, you indicated that we'd have like 20 minutes to sell ourselves to the board, why we should be selected. I don't feel like I need to sell myself to the board. I think you've entrusted me with this position, and I'm just as eager and anxious to continue this position as I have in the past. You know me, I know you. You don't need me to try and sell myself. Don't ask me. Ask the people that I work with. Ask people in the building and planning department. Ask the representatives of the sheriff's department. Ask the court staff. Ask the fire department. Of course, I come before you on certain matters, going through the agreement that we have in terms of prosecution of district court ordinance violations and related court litigation. Of course, that's primarily what I do. And there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that, quite frankly, never gets billed because you just can't. It's just something you need to do a proper job. I can save the township money by preparing a case so that it doesn't go to trial. And I work very hard so that matters get resolved, and they do. We normally have, since 2005, literally thousands of defendants, thousands of violations. This year alone, just for Independence Township, because I'm also involved with Brandon Township, there have been more than 400 defendants and over 1,000 violations. I'm very active with, as you're well aware, with Deputy Catellis, the Sheriff's Department, with the Waymaster issues, which does generate funds for the township of a substantial nature. I've been requested to attend meetings, and of course, I'm here. On occasion, we've had legal matters that have come before the board. The last one where the board, I was involved with the board in a closed session is reflected in my, I think, item number 4 about certain cases that we've had that worked out successfully for that. I could go on and on and on, but I'm not going to do that. I would just indicate to you that I'm here. I'm very eager to continue doing what I'm doing. And I really hope that you have questions, because it'll be a lot easier for me to answer than me just sitting here talking about myself, which I do not like to do. Questions?
Questions from the board? Seeing none? Wait. Paul?
Do you prosecute Brandon out of the same court?
Yes.
I just couldn't remember.
Yeah, it's it's very effective for the court. I mean, frankly, the court like it because the docket for Brandon and for Independence, they will do on the same day.
Yeah.
Because it's the sheriff's department. And that's another thing. There's I'm because of what I do, I'm so familiar with the officers. I know their schedules. I have their numbers. We communicate constantly. And as you're aware, I've come before the board and submitted when things needed to be updated, 20 different ordinances. There's one in the hopper right now that either have been suggested by the board, by the sheriff's department, by the fire department, or I have found it was necessary to update, the current state of the law. But I helped develop the e-ticket system for the officers. The sheriff's department, and what that is prior to the e-ticket system, they would write a citation, and then someone would have to physically carry it to the district court, and that could be the next day, it could be 2 or 3 days later. Now everything is set up on a computer within their vehicle on an e-ticket system that I helped develop, that so they can literally sit in their vehicle, punch in the information, and push send, and it's immediately at the court, and it saves a great deal of time and effort on that. I also work with them consistently on matters where they're going, what should we do with this? It's not common, but I do receive several calls a year from the officers at any time when they're on duty, like, Pete, what do I do with this one? And I give my best advice as I can, or I'll go with them and indicate this is the proper law you should be enforcing. I'll give you a real quick example on, let's say, a false police report. There are 3 different things they can charge them with on an e-ticket. A false report, they can charge them, if it's a driver of the car, they can charge that as not giving the proper information to the officer, and there's another charge of interfering with an officer in the discharge of his duty. They are sometimes not that sophisticated as to which one to use. I will assist with that, I'll assist on other matters at that time and bring them up to date. So, yes, it is the sheriff's department, and the officers go back and forth, so the people in Brandon can be in Independence, and then a few months later, they're back in Brandon or somewhere else.
Thank you.
Great. Anybody else? Peter, this has not come up as far as I know, anyway, but in your long tenure, I'm not aware that you have become unavailable for any reason, but if you do become unavailable, do you have anybody that would appear for you?
Yes, Stuart Cooney.
Stuart Cooney.
Would, and as you well know, and Stuart is also civil counsel for Brandon Township.
Yeah.
And we've been doing this forever. But I will say, and I've been very fortunate and blessed, and I'm very jealous of it, and I'm very protective of it, and I'm very dedicated to it. I have never missed a court date.
Okay, and I didn't think so.
No, I have not, and I've been blessed. And
Was there any that you wish you had missed?
Pardon me? Not really. Not really for a number of reasons.
Just to clarify
Yes.
for everybody, the prosecutions are the only thing you're
That's,
seeking.
I refined my practice, I'm using the word refine, reduced my practice to the only thing I'm doing is this. And that's why if I get a call, and I don't presume to know all the answers, but I'll find the answers. And I'll work with the people, which I have on the board, to provide those answers and work together. And it's been, as I said, it's been a privilege, and I wish strongly to be able to continue.
Thank you. Thanks, and thanks for coming in. We appreciate it.
Yes.
And you made a nice presentation.
I hope I remember what I said once I leave here. Does anyone else have any particular questions?
So
Ask me some questions.
We're going to make, we have a committee that's meeting tomorrow, and they'll make a recommendation, and on Tuesday the 1st, we will make a tentative decision subject to negotiating a contract, and then make that final decision on the 15th.
Yes, and again, anything I haven't said is in my submission that I believe you all have. And I didn't want to just be repetitive to that.
Right.
I can go now?
Yep. You're released.
All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you. You're on your
Good
personal
evening.
recognizance.
Oh.
Then we'll have you go out the side here.
Oh, this one? All right, I can do that. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Did she try and reach out to her?
Yeah, those are the numbers she's
Oh,
tried,
she
and
already
it's
did.
it's office numbers, and nobody's answering.
All right. Now, is anybody on? No. Did Kim answer me? No.
John is not
So
sent.
there's two more, right? Did anyone see if Dan's available to come early?
No one is on Teams right now, so she must have logged off. I let Courtney know that we're ready, but no one from the county
that's all
firm is
right.
here yet. So.
Okay. So why don't we go back into recess?
Yeah.
6:25, we'll be in recess. have a seat, relax.
Oh, I'm about as relaxed as I can get. I am going to turn my ringer off though.
Good idea.
Before I forget. So my name is Stephanie Marita. I know I have met just about everybody here before, at least once, maybe twice, maybe more than that.
Maybe 100 times for some?
Yeah, like every day for a decade or so, something like that with Mr. Fisher. But I'm your property tax attorney. I'm the attorney that the township uses when we have property tax appeals, sometimes industrial facilities exemption issues, special assessment matters, and then appeals to the Court of Appeals from the underlying agency's decisions, whether it's the State Tax Commission or the Tax Tribunal. And I've been handling your matters for the last few years. You don't have a lot on your docket, which is good, and I'd like to take credit for that, because the way I approach your cases is that by mounting a good defense, it keeps people from filing nuisance suits. So you do have a couple of what I call repeat offenders, people who file year after year. They tend to not get very much, and they understand that if they do come in and file an appeal against the township, that I'm going to ask them for information. And what I bring to the table, as opposed to some other tax attorneys, is that I've been doing this now for over 20 years. I've been a municipal attorney for longer than that, since 1995. When I first graduated from law school and took my first job, I was a municipal attorney, and then got into the property tax field about 2001. Is it 2001? 2000, actually. And I've been doing it almost exclusively since. I do have some other areas of law that I delve into, more like mass tort, class action claims involving a lot of numbers. So anytime you need someone who can look at financial statements and understand financial statements and look at costs, look at construction, I tend to get pulled into those matters as well, but it's because of the experience that I've gotten doing property tax appeals. So I currently represent communities all over the state of Michigan, from Menominee, which is right next to Wisconsin, all the way down, Traverse City, Dover Township up north, which is where Treetops is. And I have communities throughout southeastern Michigan that I do work for. What I like to see in my communities, especially if I'm brought in, is their new tax appeal attorney, is that usually what I see is their caseload goes down by about 50% for the second year after I've been there, and people understand that they're going to have to work if they want a refund. So there's no more freebies. But sometimes you have communities where they weren't being adequately represented, and they have a lot of cases, and so the assessor tries to settle things just to get things to go away. Your assessor does not. You have a great assessor. She works very hard, and if she settles a case, it's because she believes that that's the value that it should be settled at. It's not necessarily because she's got too many cases and she has to get rid of some. She's only got, I think, about 6 right now. So she's in full tribunal cases. So she's in really good shape. She does a good job, and we work very well together. And I do not take that for granted, because sometimes assessors can be difficult, but yours is not, to her credit. We do bill down to 1/10 of an hour sometimes. I'm not going to charge you a 0.2 for getting a note from the tribunal reminding us that we have a hearing, and forwarding that email off to the assessor. That's not 12 minutes worth of time. That's probably not even 5, so it's a 0.1 there. We try to keep the billing reasonable. Because I do this a lot, it takes me a lot less time to do what I do for you. So I don't have to research what type of questions I ask in interrogatories on a particular type of property. I already know. I already have a form for that. So generating those discovery requests takes us less time, because there's no research involved, and we're already ready to go. So as an example, For a gas station property, I'm going to ask for the number of tanks and the number of pumps and the types of monitoring systems they have for contamination. At the same time, I'm also going to ask for their retail sales numbers at the gas station. For a hotel, I ask for the revenue per available room. It's a completely different economic set of parameters that we're looking at to determine value for a hotel versus a gas station. And then for a golf course, you've got, number of rounds, 9 holes, 18 holes, cart revenue, beverage revenue, banquet revenue, all of that gets rolled in. But I've done it already, so I already know what questions to ask. And more importantly, I know which appraiser to call if we get to an appraisal situation. So I work with appraisers from all over the state, in certain cases, especially a special purpose property, such as what was the Palace and is now demoed, as you know. That requires somebody from out of state because there aren't that many of those facilities to be valued. Somebody local wouldn't have been a good fit for that. And it was the same with the Detroit Lions practice facility. For the recycled paper pulp mill up in Menominee, we brought in a guy from Illinois because that's what he does. So you have certain types of properties that you need a particular type of appraisal for, and then you have other ones that are more run-of-the-mill that you can use your more local appraisers, but still, even amongst them, there are certain appraisers that are better at commercial, straight up commercial. There are better, and then some are better at apartments, some are better in office buildings. And it's just knowing which one of those appraisers to call. So if you are forced to go to trial, that you will be able to adequately defend your assessments. So that's what I've been doing for you basically for the last few years. It's been a joy.
Did you say a few or two?
It's 2. I have on my docket, I pulled up your docket because we keep a spreadsheet of your cases, and I have cases going back to 2020 with 2020 numbers. I don't know if I was handling that one from the beginning. I don't think I was, so probably more like 2 years.
Okay.
So, but it all runs together after a while.
Great.
So I have for you now 6 open files, and one of which is being heard in the Court of Appeals next week on Tuesday.
Okay. Anything?
No.
Okay. Any questions?
I have a quick one.
Yes, Terry.
Can you just explain, because I'm not in the legal world, when you do bring in one of those special appraiser people, how that billing works?
They enter into an agreement with the township directly, and it's usually part of the assessor's budget to pay for that.
Okay.
So they charge you for the appraisal, and then if we do go to trial, you get billed hourly for their time.
Okay.
So we really try to get the cases resolved without having to get an appraisal, and then when we do get an appraisal, we really try to get it resolved without having to pay for prep time for trial, because their hourly rate is much higher than mine, and we are mindful of that.
Okay, thank you.
So without getting into actual numbers, I just want to make sure I'm reading this right. It looks like you're going to do current cases, you're proposing current cases at one price, and then later cases at like 30% or 30% plus.
Yeah,
more.
it's a jump. That's what we've
Yeah.
been, you guys, your community has had a long-standing relationship with some of the attorneys in my firm, and because of that, when we bid out the contract last time, you were given a huge break on my billing. I'm considered a subspecialist, and all of the communities I do work for are billed at something close to that, the second rate that we're proposing coming in. And so it's just to keep you on par with what everybody else is being billed.
Okay.
But for the cases that are pending, I didn't think it would be right to increase the
Right.
rates. We'll just keep that the same.
So it was basically to bring it up to par with other clients. It was just a big jump.
Yeah, for you it was a big jump.
Yeah.
So I apologize for the sticker shock, but that's just where we're coming in at with everybody else.
Okay. Sounds good. Anything else? All right, thank you so much for coming in. Thanks for being available in the parking lot.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So we're going to have a committee review some of these things tomorrow, and then they'll make a recommendation, and we'll make a tentative decision on like November 1, which is next Tuesday.
Yes.
And then we'll try to negotiate arrangements for approval on November 15.
Okay.
So that's the time process.
Fantastic.
Great. Thank you again for coming
Thank
in.
you. Oh, not a problem. I'm glad to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome.
It's
Well,
good
now you
seeing
can
all
go
of
early
you.
too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Have a good evening.
Have a good evening. Have a good night.
Is it raining out?
No, it's not supposed to rain till later.
Okay, good.
So all of my lawn furniture is in though. So if we get up to 80 degrees next week, it's because I put all my outside chairs away.
I did too.
Right. Right. All right.
My vote's
Mine too.
You mine picked up last week.
No, we don't need to.
He's here?
Mhm.
Oh, great. How about that?
You could pick, I had mine sent in last
She
week.
went out the wrong way.
Oh,
I didn't even notice.
She didn't get instruction.
Right, I didn't
My bad. I should
follow up.
My fault.
Why is it?
Just trying to be a team player.
And I forgot to remind you. Because I was busy texting.
Right.
anybody? Song and dance for anybody online while they're waiting?
So we had, and if you didn't know, we had a really nice presentation here. Senators Johnson and
Yeah. I saw
Runstead
that
were here last
mhm.
night. Place was packed.
I did see photos. I stayed up on that a lot, so I figure I'm just gonna leave room for everybody else.
Oh, sure.
Because, yeah. So
Sure.
it was nice to see it so packed. I did see their, they posted some pictures.
And Brooks Patterson's #1 guy, Jerry Poison, was here.
Okay. So just run out of recess. So.
Yeah, I was just making small talk. Yeah. And
We have no recess.
he's brilliant. He's a brilliant guy. I could see why Brooks kept him as the chief guy. Brilliant.
Which one's Linus? Which one's Linus?
No, these are my
Recess.
brothers. My grandfather.
Oh, your
All right,
brother's
so
house.
6:45, we'll just take a recess until the Kelly Company comes down the session. So we've got your proposal, of course.
Yeah.
And bring out anything that you want us to know, anything you want us to highlight.
I think the only thing, I think everybody knows us and knows our work. I would point out that about 6 months ago, we hired a new attorney, Jake Mertz. So I don't know how much contact all of you have had with him. Jake has got 4 years' experience. And then about 2 weeks ago, we hired another attorney, Morgan McEnany, who has about 8 to 9 years' experience. So other than that, I know you're familiar with Nancy and her labor background, as well as Skip, and of course Brittany.
So where were the other two lawyers, where were they from?
Jake Mertz was from the 52nd District Court in Rochester. He worked there for Judge Carniak for 3.5 years. Has a real good background in, obviously, district court matters. And then Morgan McInerney has 2 prior jobs. She's got about 8 or 9 years experience. She was doing family law for a while and insurance defense. So she has a little bit of municipal through the insurance defense firm, but I wouldn't say a whole lot.
Okay.
Good litigation background, though.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Please
Okay.
enlighten us.
Well, if you've read the proposal, basically what the Kelly firm is offering is to do the work at our current rate of $135 an hour for all of our associates, which we define as 5 years experience or less. I have upped the senior members of the firm to $150 an hour, which I believe is still competitive. I will do that for all of the general township services, the labor and employment services, tax tribunal, and then with regard to the prosecution services, I've offered $130 per hour or $6,500 per month on a flat rate. And if it is combined with the general services, I've reduced that to $125 an hour or a flat rate of $6,000 per hour. And that's, I'm proposing that for the prosecution services that would be handled by Skip Macarone. Skip does 4 accounts for me currently, all out of the Rochester Court, Oakland, Macomb, Auburn Hills is in Rochester, and Oakland, Oxford, and Orion, and does a great job.
So the higher rate would apply to you, of course.
Yes.
And then who else?
Currently, Skip and Nancy.
Nancy, okay.
And what I have done in the past, Supervisor Fisher, when I've made that offer, generally, and we can put that in the contract, I go to at least the officers of the board and say, hey, I'm prepared to move this person up to a senior rate. Brittany will probably be in 2 years. But I get an agreement from the board that they're in agreement that that person does have 5 years competent experience. But currently, there's 3 members of the firm that would be at that rate. Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So generally speaking, with regard to the general township services, the bid response lays out all of the clients that we represent. We have added a new client since the bid, which is Grosse Pointe Park. We'll be doing the prosecutions, tax tribunal, general, and they have separate labor counts in Grosse Pointe Park. So that's not in the bid. But what I've always said is I think my greatest asset is to contact our references, talk to the people that we currently work for. That would include every board member, every department head within any of the townships or cities that we represent. They would be free to talk with you, and I'll leave to whatever they tell you as our best recommendation as a firm. With regard to the labor, Nancy has done a great job for us. Nancy has taken a position where she will work for the law firm part-time at 20 hours per week or more if necessary. And to supplement that is part of the reason why I brought in 2 new lawyers, and we're probably looking at another labor lawyer as well. So you have experience with Skip Macarone, who does have a long experience in labor. Nancy will continue on 20-hour or so a week. I think it's more right now, but
Can't get rid of me.
Yes, right. And I think she might be back. Maybe we'll see.
So that's with regard to the labor. I've put a bid in for the tax tribunal. I know that the township has a past history of doing tax tribunal as well as prosecution separate. And so I'm not here to try to steal work from any other attorneys that you're happy with. But we put in, I think, a competitive bid for both, and I'd like to be considered for it. But I recognize that my primary purpose here is to retain the general and the labor. So, I mean, unless there's any other questions, that's kind of my brief synopsis.
So how many attorneys now totally in the firm?
Well, we do have Wally Long, so we're at 7. Wally Long is not really practicing. He's pretty much a retired status. We call on him a couple of times. He's got a long, I don't know if you know him, Supervisor Fisher,
No.
but he represented Trenton and Southgate for probably 30 years and is kind of in semi-retirement. So he'll stop by, and he does a couple of things for us, but he's pretty much in retirement.
Who would handle tax tribunal? Should we go that route?
Well, we've had, actually Nancy's done some of that for us, and we've had Jake Mertz do it. But I've done all of the trials in tax tribunal, to be honest with you. We do them for 3 communities. I just tried a Menards case for Orion Township back in August, first week of August. I've done a couple of golf course cases, which are very problematic now because they're getting reduced significantly through tax tribunals. So we did Indianwood and West Wind one's for Oakland Township, one's for Orion. So those are the trials. I've been doing tax tribunal since even my old law firm for 15 years. But currently we represent 2 communities primarily on the tax tribunal.
And which are those?
Orion and Oakwood. I should qualify that. We're doing more and more work. We've been retained as general counsel in Oxford fairly recently, maybe in the last 3 months. We had always done work for Oxford. We did their prosecutions. I've done the prosecutions for probably 12 or 13 years. We then started writing ordinances for them, and then about 3 months ago, we were hired by the board to do their general work. They don't currently have any tax tribunal matters, and quite frankly, I think they may ask us for help on the tax tribunal, but they haven't yet.
I have another question if I can.
Yes, please.
So with the rate differential, if we were to call or email any of the 3 senior currently, how would the rate be affected if you have to pass that along to a junior?
Okay, good question. So what happens is, because I get a lot of emails that are both to Brittany and myself, if Brittany is working, I try not to ever double bill that same email, right? So if it's Brittany that's doing that project, Brittany's going to be billed at the $135 an hour rate, and she'll do it from start to finish. I won't even bill the initial email.
Okay.
So when it's, now there is some overlap, and I generally will bill my time if I'm working on any project. But something like that, it's usually assigned, and there'll be somebody that is responsible for that project.
Okay.
Right.
Do you do retainer with any of your other municipalities, or are they
I
all
do.
straight hourly?
Yeah. Well, we do a lot of prosecution retainers because you can kind of estimate those. In Oakland, I do have a kind of a unique deal where they do pay me a retainer of $7,500 a month, and that's to cover some general matters for the township, like attend township board meetings. Well, I forgot to note that I am continuing to cover board meetings for free. I just want to make sure that everybody knows that.
Was the next
Right, to ask you, yeah.
My wife hates it, but I love it. So the only retainer separate and apart from prosecutions is in Oakland Township, where we do $7,500 a month, which does include some portion of that towards prosecutions. And then there's a couple of other conditions to it that go beyond that. So.
Okay.
Very good. Anybody have a question? Another question? Anything else you want to?
No, I'm good.
Nancy?
Yeah,
No.
say hi.
Great to see all of you in one place for once. I don't think that I've come to a meeting and been with everybody, so it's nice to see you all in one spot.
Paul?
So if we always call the younger staff and have them
There
get
we
the
go.
answer from you, can we always get charged the lower rate?
There we go. That's the treasurer asking the question. I mean, I do work, Paul. I do work, you know. We tried to do that as fair as
It's got to
possible.
make up for all the pro bono stuff he promised the last time.
Great.
Okay?
All right, thank you so much
All
for
right,
coming in.
appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
And, what we're going to do is, we have a committee that will make a recommendation, and on the next Tuesday night, we'll make a tentative determination, subject to negotiating a contract to be finalized on November 15th.
Okay, all right, very good, thank
Yeah.
you. All right,
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Have a good
Thank you.
night.
Seeing y'all.
Coming out, have a
Yep,
good
take care.
evening.
Have a good evening. You can go out any door you want.
Okay, we were ordered to come in the front door.
That's right.
See y'all.
All right, bye-bye.
All right. Any board member comments at this point?
Thank you for the efforts to pull all this together. Carrie, I think you pulled all that together.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Terry, do you have a motion?
Move to adjourn? Second?
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.